in our world of instant everything, the fight against our own impulses can feel, well, pretty overwhelming. But what if I told you that one of the best guides to winning this fight was actually written more than 700 years ago? Yeah, let's get into it. I mean, have you ever felt like you're literally fighting a battle against yourself? One part of you wants to be healthy, focused, or maybe break some bad habit. And then there's this other part that seems to want to do the exact opposite. That internal tug of war, it's one of the oldest human struggles there is. So, here's our game plan. We're going to unpack this incredible ancient toolkit for mastering yourself. We'll start by understanding the battle within. Then we'll define the enemy, something called al-Hawa. We'll look at why it's so dangerous, and then, the best part, we'll lay out 10 concrete steps to freedom. After that, we'll explore the joy of self-control and tie it all together with finding your true purpose. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the battle within. Because look, before you can solve a problem, you've got to understand it. And the struggle for self-control isn't some new thing, it's a timeless part of being human. Now, all this wisdom we're diving into, it comes from a classic text called A Chapter on the Dispraise of Al-Hawa, or Lowly Desire. It was written by this brilliant 13th century scholar, Imam Ibn al-Qayyim. The guy was basically a master of human psychology and spirituality, and you'll see, his insights are just as powerful today as they were back then. Okay, on to Section 2. So what exactly is this Al-Hawa? I mean, you can't win a fight if you don't know who you're up against, right? It's time to name the enemy. The source defines Al-Hawa as the blamable inclination of the self in its love and desires. Now that's key. We're not talking about all desires here. Wanting to succeed is a desire. Love is a desire. Al-Hawa is specifically about those lowly desires, those impulses that pull you toward things that are actually harmful. Like mindlessly scrolling social media when you've got work to do, or grabbing that third cookie when you know you're going to regret it. Which brings us right to Section 3, the dangers of desire. Why is this internal fight so important? Well, because the stakes for our happiness, our character, and just our overall peace of mind, they're incredibly high. Ibn al-Qayyim has this really powerful way of describing it. He says Al-Hawa is a hidden trap. Al-Hawa blinds its follower. Think about that. It's sneaky. It promises you that quick hit of pleasure, that little dopamine rush, but it's a trap that leads to regret and pain later on. It tricks you into thinking that what you want right now is what's best, completely blinding you to the real consequences. Now, that's a serious warning, but don't worry, it's not a hopeless situation. The text isn't just about the problem, it's all about the solution. So the big question is, how do we actually fight back? How do we free ourselves from this hidden trap? Okay, time to get practical. This is Section 4, 10 Steps to Freedom. This is Ibn al-Qayyim's toolkit, a straightforward, actionable plan for taking back the controls. All right, here are the first 5 steps. Number 1, a determined free will. This isn't just hoping for the best. It's an active, conscious choice to protect your honor and who you are. Number 2, a dose of patience. Okay, this is the tough one. It's about learning to just sit with that uncomfortable feeling of wanting something, to endure that bitter taste without giving in. It's that moment you feel your phone buzz and you choose not to check it. Third is strength and self-determination, just finding that inner grit to keep going. Now, 4 and 5 are like 2 sides of the same coin. Step 4 is awareness of the good outcome, really picturing how great you'll feel after you resist. And step 5 is awareness of the pain, reminding yourself that the feeling of regret after you give in is always, always worse than the fleeting pleasure. Now, for the next 5. Step 6 is to keep your good standing. This just means valuing your self-respect, who you want to be, more than some temporary impulse. Step 7 is about preferring the joy of Afa. Afa is self-control, yeah, but it's more than that. It's about choosing the deep, lasting satisfaction and honor of self-mastery over some cheap, temporary thrill. Step 8 is awesome. Delight in overcoming your inner adversary. Don't just resist and move on. No, celebrate that win. Enjoy that feeling of being in control. Step 9 is huge. Remember your purpose. Remind yourself you were made for something way bigger than just being a puppet to your cravings. And finally, step 10, rise above instinct. Use that amazing human ability, reason, to figure out what's actually good for you in the long run, not just what feels good in the moment. See, following these steps isn't about depriving yourself. It's about gaining something so much better. And that's what Section 5 is all about, the joy of self-control. This is where we talk about the payoff. The book gives us a really clear choice here. On one hand, following that lowly desire leads to, and I quote, pain that exceeds the pleasure. But on the other hand, practicing self-control leads to the joy of ifa and its honor and sweetness. So it's a choice, a little pleasure now for a lot of pain later, or a little difficulty now for lasting honor and peace. When you see it like that, it's kind of a no-brainer.
And that brings us to the biggest motivator of all, Section 6, your true purpose. This is about connecting this whole struggle to something much, much bigger.
Listen to this quote because it's a total game changer. It says, "Indeed, they have prepared you for a great task, such that if you were aware of it, you would hold yourself above giving respect to the negligent." This completely reframes everything. Suddenly, this isn't about just saying no to a distraction. It's about saying yes to the great task you were made for. It's about becoming the person you were meant to be, someone who holds themselves to a higher standard. So what do you get at the end of this journey? What's the ultimate prize? It's not just about dodging bad habits. It's about gaining amazing things. We're talking about real, lasting honor and self-respect, a deep sense of inner peace and strength, true freedom from being a slave to your impulses, and best of all, living a life that's aligned with your true, noble purpose. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. When you see the framework laid out like this, the choice becomes pretty clear. So, who's really in control of your life? Is it you, or is it your desires?